New Bryce Covert article highlighting an issue that we've unfortunately become numb to in America today. Quote, after allowing the Paycheck Fairness Act to move forward last week, Senate Republicans turned around on Monday evening and unanimously voted to block the bill. So, what is the Paycheck Fairness Act? Well, it's a bill that would basically make equal pay for equal work between men and women. Republicans are against that yet again. They say, quote, the vote came weeks after the Republican National Committee claimed that all Republicans support equal pay. Senate Republicans have unanimously shot the bill down multiple times over the past 4 years. In fact, I remember we covered it at least 2 other times. So, what exactly did the bill do? Well, it banned pay secrecy, okay, and it mandated pay transparency so that if a woman is working the same job as a man, she would be able to know by law if her pay is less than the man's pay. And it also mandates that a boss would have to sit down with a female worker and explain a pay discrepancy if there is one. So you're kind of forced to treat your female employees like adults and logically explain why this discrepancy exists if there is one. So why do we need such legislation? 2 reasons. Number one, overall, the statistic you've heard many times, women make 77 cents for every dollar a man makes. Now, oftentimes when you bring this up, conservatives will fire back and they'll say, but that's not for the same work, so it's misleading. And that's true. That actually is a slightly misleading thing to bring up. But even when you narrow the criteria down and you make it for the same work, the gap still exists, and it's about 91 cents to a man's dollar. So there's still about a 9 or 10 cent discrepancy for the same work. And some people might say, well, that doesn't seem like a big gap, but that adds up over time. And still, it's more the principle of the thing that there's a discrepancy at all in the year 2014 when that should be unacceptable. So next time you hear conservatives running for office or not, just in casual conversation with your buddies, and one of them says, oh, there's no Republican war on women nonsense, that's a liberal claptrap. You remember this. And it's not just this. Remember, they slapped down this bill, the Paycheck Fairness Act, multiple times. There's no reason to be against this, man. There really isn't. So they slapped this down multiple times, and they also, a lot of Republicans, only a handful crossed the aisle to vote for the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act. Now, what did that bill do? That extended the statute of limitations so that if a woman sees that there's pay discrimination and she wants to sue for it, they can't say, hey, you've actually been discriminated against for 5 years straight and the statute of limitations was 4 years, so you can't sue because the statute of limitations is over. And the response is, well, she didn't know until now that she was being discriminated against. So it was actually one of the first bills Obama signed where he made it so that the statute of limitations starts from the second you realize that there's pay discrimination, not from the beginning when you might not know there's pay discrimination. So it's, again, very pro-woman, pro-common sense bill. A lot of Republicans voted against that. And then, of course, there's the transvaginal ultrasound, which, let's be honest, what are those? That's the state legally raping you. Legally raping you. They're saying, hey, we're going to insert this thing into your vagina to make you look at your fetus. We're going to force you to do that. Well, the state is going to force insertion on you? These are bills that red states have overwhelmingly supported. So are you really going to sit there and say, and a lot of people will, but don't take it when they say, well, no, there's no Republican war on women except for the fact that they vote against every single pro-woman bill that comes up and they want the state to shove things in your vagina against your will. Just one more example I'll bring up real quick. The Violence Against Women Act. The Violence Against Women Act does a lot of fantastic things. So they set up a domestic violence hotline so that, women who have experienced it can call and there's support and there's all these different things that are just overwhelmingly positive. And it passed, but the Violence Against Women Act has a sunset provision on it, so you have to re-up it every few years. And whenever it comes up, the Republicans always give it a hard time to continue it. So they recently blocked it because they said, we don't want these protections to extend to the LGBT community, and the Native American community. And the immigrant community, actually. So you're in favor of not having violence against women, but only if they're not gay or Native American or immigrants. Then violence, pretty cool. See, the idea that there's no actual war on women, the thing is, the war on women, yes, of course, it's a hyperbolic statement, but it's based on data, and it's just to point out the empirical reality that one political party treats women terrible, and the other one actually gives a shit.